Hey guys, welcome to our very first webinar from Key Technologies. I'm glad you're here. We have prepared an exciting topic for today and I hope you enjoy it. Today it's all about the topic of high frequency radiation. What is that actually and what is the impact? Why is the public still denying that it has negative consequences for our health? And of course, it should also go briefly to our products. What we do and which solutions we offer for our customers. Before we dive into the topic, I would like to briefly take the opportunity to introduce the team behind the company Key Technologies. In the middle, Hagen Thiers, who has been researching the whole subject for all his life. Since he was 11 years old, he has been working on solutions for electrosensitive people. People who have noticed, just like himself, that there are health problems. Let's go through the stuff once from left to right. First, there is Elisa Sumara, the management assistant, to whom you can turn if you have a concern for Hagen Thiers. She takes care that everything runs smoothly. This is Mandy Rosman, who takes care of the logistic part and the bills. Here we have Andreas Groß, who is the friendly voice on our hotline and who has the head-on in customer service. Then here we have Anne Thiers, the wife of Hagen Thiers. She takes care of the bookkeeping, makes our transfers, does the commission billing for our partners and who takes care of all the financial matters. Here we have Melanie Treutsch, our in-house graphic designer who is taking care of the presentations and our media, among others. Here is Veronica Appleford, who works in research out of Edinburgh in Scotland and supports Hagen Thiers in scientific recognition work and studies. Mark Höcker, the right hand of Hagen Thiers, who takes care of the daily bureaucratic matters and is the point of contact for you and the employees when Hagen Thiers is on research trips, at conferences or is traveling outside for you. My name is Martin Pham. I recently quit my job at Vodafone, one of the biggest German mobile operators, and I'm proud to call myself a member of the Key Technologies family now. At Vodafone, I worked as a team leader for field sales in business customer sales for a partner chain. At Key Technologies, I am now the contact person for all topics concerning sales. I take care of our sales representatives and our distribution partners, as well as online trading. Our company is located in Bautzen and the company is now 5 years old and was already able to name itself the market leader in radiation protection in Germany in 2016. So, let's talk about the vision. How did the idea for the key devices come about? Hagen Thiers was and is electric sensitive, and he has often noticed that he had headache during and after using cell phones, that he could not concentrate when he was exposed to the Wi-Fi radiation and so on. In the past, his father had an awareness of the topic and even held lectures on electrosmog protection from radiation and how to handle it. So that's why Hagen Thiers came into contact with the topic quite early, which also led to his dedicating his entire life to the subject. At that time, the technology already had a great deal of interest from military institutions, However, Hagentiers did not want to provide this technology to these organizations, and then he left Germany. He traveled all over Europe and continued to research and work in various places, still plagued by the electrosensitivity of the now emerging mobile phone technology, Wi-Fi and other sources of radiation. He was specifically looking for a place where natural living without exposure to radiation was possible. He went to nature, where he could go fishing, get the water himself from the river, and just build a cabin in the middle of nowhere. And it does not bother anyone. He then found this patch of land in Finland, in the far north in Lapland, where there is still only a quarter resident per square kilometer. Of course, the quarter resident always looks very funny, but joking aside. It was a pretty clean place, 0% air pollution, no signal, no problems, and really pure nature. There he spent a long time, without electricity, without running water, a very small stove heated by wood to make his food. During this time, his whole organism returned to normal. He was no longer exposed to radiation. Go to bed when it gets dark, no other consumer goods, so a very simple life. But one day, the time was come to return to society, to return to his homeland, Germany. When he returned to the high-tech society, he was exposed to the radiation again. The world he returned to now was a completely different one. The first smartphones were on the market, Wi-Fi networks were suddenly on every corner. Many have worked with their notebooks while traveling around, sitting in coffees and so on, and new broadcasting stations shaped the landscape, which were needed for the dissemination of the new mobile radio frequencies. How did his body respond? His head was almost bursting, everything was hurting. He could hardly concentrate, and thinking seemed to be impossible. Especially electrosensitive people can feel that. This has encouraged him to continue his vision of helping people who are electrosensitive and suffering from the effects of electrosmog, to help them and to give them the chance to live a normal life. Let's summarize briefly. Where does high-frequency radiation come from? High-frequency radiation occurs virtually in all devices that build wireless connections. As we can see here, so with smartphones, for example, with Bluetooth devices, with laptops, notebooks, and PCs that have Wi-Fi connections, and on the other hand, they need a transmitter that emits radiation as well. So about WLAN hotspots, transmitters, and radio masts. To give you an idea of how many devices we speak, I would like to attach a few numbers for Germany. In 2017, we already had 45,000 LTE stations in Germany. Further construction projects will expand the existing stations by another 20,000 units until 2022. And that is only 4G, what I'm talking about. Furthermore, we currently have 2.26 million transmitting stations for 2G and 3G. A large part of these are small transmitters which are installed in cities on rooftops. In order to expand 5G nationwide in Germany, 800,000 transmitting stations would have to be built. This because at the 5G frequency the waves are shorter and thus the range of the transmitters. Do we really need so many transmitters? Here we have two examples. On the right, we see a section in Berlin completely plastered with transmitters. In order to supply a similar area with mobile radiation, we see on the left side a section in Schloss Holte-Struckenbrock. How many masts are actually needed to have a full service of 4G? How has the market developed? If we take a look at the development of the last 30 years, we can see how explosively the number of mobile phone contracts in Germany has been increased. In 1992, there were not even 1 million contracts, and now we are already over 130 million. Every second citizen already uses at least 2 devices. How does it look with the broadband connections? As of 2017, we have over 30 million DSL connections in Germany, all with Wi-Fi. The cable providers even go one step further. For example, Vodafone. Each customer who has a cable router spends an additional second hotspot signal to grant access to the internet to other nerdy people. There is no official communication that this is taking place. The consumer has to take care of it himself, that the second Wi-Fi will be switched off. More than 1.7 billion mobile phones and 500 million tablets are sold worldwide each year, ascending trend. And last but not least, there's a new demon rising. Now we have the Internet of Things toward us. Everything is interconnected. Voice control, handset control. The fridge tells you the milk is empty. The heating heats up before we get home. The music from the mobile phone is played wireless on every speaker in the apartment. The TV plays whenever we want it, our favorite series. The cat does not need to scratch the door anymore because she comes in and out with her funk collar whenever she wants to. The escaping dog is found in a few minutes via GPS tracking and built-in SIM cards in the tracker. Treat dispensers keep our home waiting animals happy while we watch the surveillance video on the phone. We always know where our kids are. We are GPS trackers in super cool smartwatches. Already every 4th German citizen owns at least one smart home or IoT device. Is that harmless? What does the WHO say, the World Health Organization, about the harmfulness of mobile phone radiation? The WHO has revised its opinion on mobile phone radiation from cellular radiation is safe to cell phone radiation may cause cancer. Why maybe? Small studies were done. These smaller studies mostly take place on a smaller scale, with about 30 or 40 persons, where the parameters are always very similar. For an example, boarding schools, same food, same time to sleep and same daily routines for all participants. And in these small studies, significant effects were repeatedly found. But then it is said by the companies that they are not representative enough because they only have a few participants and because it is not lasting for over years. What was done instead? A transnational study has carried out with an unbelievable amount of 200 million participants. Maybe you also took part in it without knowing it, because that was done through the health insurance companies, where the data was read out and compared in parallel with the mobile phone use. It was found that the people who phone the most have the most suffer from brain cancer, and that those who use their phone at least have the lowest incidence of brain cancer disorders. And that on the basis of a 10-year overview. But since no effects are to be ruled out in such a large study, the statement is maybe causes cancer. That's interesting. The small studies are not representative enough. And then you do a large study with over 200 million data, and both can say clearly that mobile radiation causes cancer. So how it is possible to win? You can't win, actually. Now, WHO issues a recommendation for the SAR limit. The SAR value is the specific absorbance rate and is expressed in watt per kilogram and currently stands at 2 watt per kilogram. However, 9 from 10 cell phones under real test conditions do not meet the limit. What does this value say? The SAR value indicates how strongly your body is heated by the radiation while using a mobile phone. Just a side fact, the WHO limit was set by a 2 meter and 100 kilogram GI. The graph shows how radiation affects people who are not quite the size of an average American soldier. In 5-year-old children, the skull is relatively thin, which causes radiation to affect more than half of the brain. Even in adults, the radiation goes far into the brain tissue. The Federal Office for Radiation Protection Germany recommends using the mobile phone as little as possible. Good are wired headsets to reduce the radiation, or if possible then use the conventional landline. Does this limit protect us? Yes, to a lesser extent, namely against the thermal effects of warming of our body tissue. These are official limits for mobile communication. The maximum value for the power density of mobile networks for 2G, 3G and 4G are 10 million microwatt per square meter. In contrast, the German Medical Association recommends a value of 1000 microwatt per square meter. The Federal Nature Conservation Association 500 microwatt per square meter. And the Catalyst Institute in Cologne even only 10 microwatt per square meter. Many devices exceed the limits, even the low radiation DECT phones. Mobile phones even exceed the limit by up to 10 times. But mobile devices are not covered by the regulation of the 26th Federal Emission Control Ordinance. The limits completely ignore the non-thermal effects. It's like putting a thermometer next to a nuclear power station, measuring a raise of temperature of just about 1 or 2 degrees and concluding radioactive radiation is harmless. So, what are the non-thermal effects of high-frequency radiation? I just want to briefly list the thermal effects that have already been observed in studies. We have an influence on the brain waves, in the alpha and beta waves. Hormone release is affected. Among other things, melatonin is released to a lesser extent, which also leads to a lower secretion of serotonin. The blood picture is influenced. So we see in the graphs above a normal blood picture, and below a blood picture under the effect of pulsed high frequency. The blood cells manage the oxygen transport in the body and ensure that each cell gets the necessary amount of oxygen. In the case of the money roll effect, which this picture is called, the blood corplets stick together and can thus also transport less oxygen because of a smaller receiving surface. The DNA is destroyed. There is an opening of the blood-brain barrier, which damages tissue in the brain. The resulting diseases are irreparable because they often only appear when 80% of the tissue is already damaged. These includes Alzheimer, dementia and Parkinson. Tinnitus, difficulties by concentrating and insomnia can be additional side effects from the influence of high-frequency radiation. There's an increased cancer risk. There's also increasing evidence of adverse effects on plants and animals. Dr. Martin Paul from the Washington State University has found out that cell phone radiation has a much greater effect on the cell membrane than on the rest of the body, strictly 6.3 million times stronger. Protons that are in the radiation enter the cell and rob the electrons. This causes free radicals, which lead to oxidative stress. And oxidative stress is the reason for 80% of Western diseases. If you ever talk to a doctor about finding a cure for oxidative stress, the mouth would open wide and interest would be there. It is well known that oxidative stress is the cause of most of our illnesses. I would like to have a mind game with you. Who finances the studies? It is often technical companies that are then able to rip up the studies until they no longer produce useful results. Unfavorable subjects are then taken out, for example, and tests are questioned. What would happen if non-thermal effects were recognized? It would be the end for 5G. It would have to be carried out a decommissioning of mobile stations. The prevailing radiation exposure would have to be reduced. The limits would have to be adjusted significantly. Devices would have to be built differently. Then other technologies that are completely harmless to humans could find their way, like VLC, the visual light communication, where the data is transported by light. But unfortunately, we have not arrived at this point yet. So what can I do right now? How can I protect myself? There are 4 protection options. Structural protective or physical protection, harmonization products, military shielding products, the way of Hagen-Thiers, and products according to physical mode of action, which means electron exchange. Let's take a look at the structural protection. On the one hand, there are paints and wallpapers that we can attach to the wall. They then shield the radiation effectively. The disadvantage of these products is that they are not mobile and cause high costs. Moreover, the colors cannot be transported to another location afterwards, which is why we have to invest again and again. The second option, the harmonization products. For example, stickers that I glue on my mobile phone and thus harmonize the radiation. But whatever comes with these products is the statement that the effect of radiation and the protection from it are not measurable. You can find that even if you go to the websites of the harmonization operator. In the footer is then usually written that no legally demonstrable effects of the products is present. Another disadvantage of the products is that these products are bound to an advice and that they don't protect against external radiation, such as transmitters and radio masts. Then we have military shielding technology. Of course, it is extremely difficult to acquire military products, not to mention the high costs. The disadvantage of the technology is also that we can no longer use our technology. For us, the approach is that only one technology will prevail worldwide, which also makes it possible to continue to use our own technical equipment. It reduces the radiation that is measurable, detected and protect against the damage. One more option is to follow the path of Hagen-Thiers. Go into nature, go to the radiation-free zones. There are also websites with the information for EMF-free areas by the island, but even these places are less and less. A new project has just been approved. Elon Musk has launched the Go 4425 satellite for mobile internet all over the world. Thus, even those with their own island are no longer protected from radiation. It is planned to equip 98% of the world with 4G and 5G with a huge expansion of this technology. So we cannot count on going anywhere else to recover from it. So that means it's time to find new technologies to prevent damage. The state do not do it. We are dependent on self-protection. We are dependent on technologies that make it possible to continue using the radio technologies that are suitable for everyday use and protect us. And that's exactly what we do. Key Technologies, the solution for you. In short, we make sure that electrons are released into the room. In nature, it is always about charge, positive and negative charge, in the electrical sense, which have their effects in the body. We talked about oxidative stress earlier. We talked about protons and electrons earlier. Let's go into that for a moment. I do not want to get too deeply involved in the topic now, that we are not physics scientists right now. That's why I want to explain it as easy as possible. We make a liquid that has a hexagonal structure and gives off electrons. Therefore, the liquid is very strongly enriched with electrons, and these are released by the devices. The hexagonal structure, what Professor Dr. Pollack found out, shows that we no longer have H2 structure. We use each oxygen molecule through 3 and use each hydrogen molecule through 2. As a result, we have an electron left over. This enables us to provide electrons billions of times per glass bottle. That is why our products last at least 6 years. The high-frequency radiation, which is known, has an excess of protons that rob our electrons in the body. The free radicals cause less production of the body's own energy currency, ATP, because that causes the burning of electrons. Free radicals are electron robbers. They are looking for a free electron to connect. That is why today the antioxidant-rich diet is in vogue. Antioxidants are electron donors. These superfruits and acai smoothies are foods that release a large amount of electrons. They are also able to compensate for the whole lack of electrons. We used to have little electrons deficiency because we could always unload in nature. If we walk barefoot on naturally grown earth, then we discharge ourselves, because the protons discharge themselves with the electrons in the earth, which gives off electrons. The earth is always negatively charged in 99% of all cases. That's why the lightning always comes to the ground. The same is the case with the body. Today, We are mostly far away from the Earth. We live isolated on the 4th or 5th floor. We have rubber soles that prevent a static discharge. In addition, we still have the radiation stress and other modern withdrawal symptoms of electrons, which just make sure that we have electron deficiency. The need is even higher than ever. The connection and our salvation that we used to have and our alternative to keeping it in balance, we use less and less. Key works in the place like nature and brings the electrons home to you. And what Key technology is doing is releasing electrons into the space that interacts with the protons instead of the radiation is interacting with you. The technology remains usable, the radiation in the room is measurably reduced. We can see that again in a video. That's the principle of action. In the first video, you can see how the electrons are released into the room. The electrons penetrate walls. They are always looking for the next positive particle. The next video shows up a live test from one of our customers. So now let's see how Key technology works live.
Thank you so much for your attention. I'm glad to be here now on the first webinar and to explain you a little bit about our products. So we have the Qi business. The Qi business is made for companies. Companies like call centers, offices, or just also big houses. And they are perfect in the way that they protect your customers, your employees from negative radiation, especially in offices where this is highly needed, where people need concentration which is interfering with the radiation. You get protection from these devices which have a radius of over 50 meters, so there you can always have a really big amount of surface space and which you have covered with electrodes which protect you from the EMFs. So this is our biggest product for big houses, offices, call centers, restaurants, etc. So let's move to the next product. We have our main product, what we sell. This is for families, for households in particular. We have, this is having a radius where this is giving off electrons from 7.5 meters. This is something which the devices are really capable of doing and which makes them exceptional, because there is another product on the market which goes the same way as us to give out electrons to interfere with the radiation. So we are not the only ones doing this, but the Key devices, they have one thing which makes them absolutely outstanding in the market, and that's the torus field, which you saw in the video just earlier. And this torus field is giving speed to the electrons and throwing them out of the device through magnetic functions. And that's why we have also still electrons in far distances like 50 meters, or like here with the Qi home cell with 7.5 meters. The devices, they last over 6 years. The Qi home cell lasts 8 years, and it's perfect just for families, and it doesn't matter if you have 2 kids or you have 5 kids. It's about square meters, and we always protect the people, and we don't have to connect it to any device like the WLAN station, wireless station, or any mobile phones, but this is a standalone unit which functions on its own. So let's move forward. We have our industrial products which are made for hard use. So they can be put outside, and this is the G area or the G animal, and which get also used on farms and for animal places, animal farms, to raise them up. And what we have gotten as experience and got as a feedback from our clients is that that there is growth from the animals is faster there, they are living longer, they are having a healthier situation, they need less medication. And also the same is regarding plants. So we have seen a tremendous increase in growth, less attacks from from animals and bugs and so on. And the amount of pesticide use could be also reduced by just using these devices. And they are again working on the same principle that they are giving off electrons. So then we have the Qi Mobile. When I launched this product in 2015, this was really a small breakthrough. This is the first device which you can carry with you just in your pocket. It has just the size of a pack of cigarettes, so it's really small, it doesn't carry a lot of weight, and this is the first unit, and this is the first and cheapest product of us. This is starting just about 400 euros. So you have a perfect protection from high EMFs just by walking around, and you can also put it, of course, beside your bed and have a protection at night. So if you want to see what kind of effects can be brought to you by having a protection from radiation and you want to check it out, this is a product to look at, and you can carry it with you in your daily life and have a protection from EMFs just for yourself. Then this is our newest product, and I got actually this product right here to show you, so you get a little bit of a sizing and can imagine what's the size of the unit. This is the Key Shield. This is personal, my favorite device. This is just new, came out 2019 now in the spring, and this is a mobile unit which you can take with you, and it's always functioning. So this is differing from the G Home Cell, which have a build-up time of about 12 hours, for instance. So this device is working constantly. So, and this is really made for daily life use. So, for instance, if you have small budget, if you are living alone or just with your partner, maybe in a flat or something like this, and you want EMF protection from the highest level now, also already laid out for 5G, then this is your choice. So this is something which has a radius of 2.5 meters in both directions. So you have a good bedroom, is completely covered. So what you do is you come home with the device from work, you have a protection while you're on the go. It doesn't matter if you're on a bus, airplane, car or the train. It doesn't matter, it will function, and it will give you again electrons which will interfere with the radiation just around you, give you protection because your protons are not going into your body, and your own electrons, which are from your body important to produce your life energy, your ATP, are protected. So this is really daily life use. So you can put it beside your bed, and you have with you and your partner, you have protection, and in the morning you take it with you to your office, and you can just put it on your desk, and it will cover your whole office completely with EMF protection. This is personally my favorite unit because it fits my lifestyle just perfect to have protection from EMFs in any life situation. It's perfect for my hotel use because I'm traveling so much. So this is the unit I take with me. I have it in the car, I have it in the hotel room, and it's perfect to carry around. Another very special thing is the products which are having the name cell in them, for instance, the G Home Cell or the G Business Cell, they have the cell technology, and this is included in the Key Shield as well. So let me just talk a little bit about this. So you can imagine, we're giving off electrons. Everything in our surroundings is having an impact on our electrons. So Wi-Fi, the signal from the mobile phone towers. All this kind of things are taking away electrons. So you can imagine how much electrons we lose by just trying to present them in the room and get them to you as an individual. There is millions of electrons going lost inside the room. So what we have concentrated on by inventing the Qi-Home cell was to give electrons directly to you. So we have invented a special wiring which is taking the electrons directly from the fluid, connecting them to the coupling. So if you touch the device like the Qi-Home cell, the Qi Business cell or the Qi Shield, the body is directly discharging your protons, which are too much in your body, to the device, just like you would if you are walking barefoot at nature. So this is also something which the Qi Shield has already visited, and that's why many people feel some tickling or some sizzling in the skin when they touch the device, which is nice, but you don't have to expect it, or it's no problem if you don't feel it. Many people also don't feel the discharge when just walking barefoot on nature. So now I want to do an offer for you. I care very deeply about our customers and clients from the old days. We are now 5 years old as a company, and for me it's very important that everybody gets a chance to update their devices on the latest technology which there is available from us, so that they have the perfect EMF protection also for the next couple of years. Because we can only invent products for the time they are laid out today and for the current situations, and maybe the things which we already know which are coming, but nobody knows the EMF standards in 10 years. So that's why I want to offer you a deal on your old devices. So we offer for clients who have bought a Qi-Home in 2017 or later, we offer 1,000 euros to buy your Qi-Home back, and if you buy a new Qi-Home cell. So you will be deducted 1,000 euros. For the devices which are older than 2017, we offer 800 euros to deduct your new Qi-Home cell. So this is just a thank you for you and your loyalty for staying true to the company and looking for the right EMF protection, especially since we pay all the studies ourselves and all the inventions to invest into the new technology. So I thank you really a lot for your attention today. I hope you enjoyed your first webinar with us, and we will be now in the chat with you to answer your questions. Thank you so much.